All right, perfect. So I think I've got it figured out. I was struggling. I just tried doing my review of my 30 days of machine learning, deep learning, coding learning experience. So I wanted to share it with everybody here, but I was trying to figure out how to share my screen. So I think I figured it out. A little quick Google search, and I'm good to go. So this is just an intention to show some of the things that I've learned while taking and setting aside 30 minutes to learn machine learning, deep learning. Really, my focus right now during my 30 days is around TensorFlow, and so I wanted to share some examples and some just some ways of hey, this is what I'm doing. Hopefully, it helps other people kind of just jump in and start to go through and look at hey, with 30 minutes a day in 30 days you can transform just your mindset and understanding around whatever it is you're trying to do. Most people, right, if you're watching this channel, you're interested in deep learning, machine learning, data engineering, Hadoop, data science, anything like that. So I just wanted to take some time today and just share some of the things that I found in my own personal journey today. So the big thing here is I want to hopefully share my screen. This should work this time. Screen share. It's so awesome. So I've got the screen shared here, and the first thing I wanted to show is I found some amazing tutorials here. So all the credit here for these TensorFlow examples. But when I talk about going through and how you approach learning for that 30 minutes and what you're going to do, these are some of the things that I do. So I'm not always just watching my Pluralsight videos or YouTube videos, because there's great examples and there's great things that you can go through in there. But I'll be honest, 30 minutes a day really starts to build up. So for example, I've got a lot of courses that are 2 hours to 3 hours. Man, you'll be done with those in 4 or 5 days. If you're just watching those, I do encourage you to, as you're going through them, pause, run some of the code, and see how some of those examples work. So this is an example I found on GitHub. So these are some TensorFlow examples here. And the cool thing about this is you can actually go through and you can look at them from a notebook perspective. So let me see if I can open that up. So you can see, hey, this is it if you were running it in a Jupyter notebook or if you wanted to run them. But I like running just from the code. So you can see, I think I wanted to show this linear regression example here. So yeah, you can see the code here, and these are great examples, kind of walking through. But you can see that you've already got code that you can play with. So the cool thing about this is you can take this code and you can start running it in your own environment and kind of walking through it. Like I said, going back to all these tutorials here. I mean, you've got your basic models, you've got your introduction, so you can go in and say, see very, very simple example of hello world. So depending on where you're starting, right? I mean, I started here. I mean, most people, this is kind of where you start. Well, you start on the hello world, but in TensorFlow and in deep learning, you quickly go to the MNEST challenge, which is just basically kind of going through and looking at being able to identify digits from the MNEST codes here. So let me see if there's an example of that. I believe that's the example here that we were looking at. Yep. So you can see here that this one is going to import the MNEST data and be able to run it. So I've got that code right here. So I've already taken the code, making sure that, one, I sourced it here just to give credit, but then also I want to know where I can go back to it, right? So I can go back and see, hey, this is, this is where I found that code and this is where I want to go back. So you have to just bear with me on this live stream here. I'm going through it, but still first time I've got it going and really excited to have the screen share going. So, but like I said, I just wanted to show some of these examples. One of the things here, so I've got the data here and you can see, you can actually, tweak the learning rate and some of the other pieces from the code. But I've got this running here. Let me see if I can show an example running that. Wonder if that came through. So as I'm pulling up, all right, so I've got that code uploaded here into my 30-day folder. And now I'm just going to show, like I said, I've got it. Hadn't made any changes to the code here, but I'm just going to let that start to run. And I'm going to move the screen off to the side here as it's starting to run. But basically, all I did was, I went in and I looked at some of the examples here, and I wanted to go through the logistic regression on this example here. And this just gives you an opportunity to kind of go through and have some code to kind of start playing with. So let me see. I've got it ran here. It's magic, right? So I've got it where I was able to run it. So it ran through here, and I got an accuracy of 91%, right? So let's just call it 91%. So we've got 91%, but that's just showing with the logistic regression. Cool thing is I can go back in and go through some of the other ones, right? So some of the other examples here. So that one was doing it with linear regression. I think this one. Yep. So this one here, so we can go through and do it by implementing k-means and kind of walk through these examples and just give us an opportunity to kind of challenge it. So if you're just starting out, this would be a great place to start, but it's not just for beginners either. So this is, there's more advanced code here that you can start to play around with and do things. Like I said, I like it a lot. Let me show you the example here, what I was talking about. So if you're not familiar with the MNest, it's trying to see if this was going to give us an example. But if you're not familiar, this is the source of the images, but let me see if I've got a good example that we can show. Yeah, it does show how to do the installation, some of the other pieces, but let me see if I can find something. So real quick, if you're not familiar with MNest, basically what we're doing is, oh, hey, Wikipedia. But you're basically just going through, and here's a sample of these images. And so these are, I think, 28 by 28 pixels. And it gives you an opportunity to go through. These are just the numbers, but the other MNest, you have you'll have all the you'll have all the letters, right? And so it'll just be going through and see if you can detect on these examples if it's a 0 or 1, or if it's a L or a T or something like that. So these are labeled training data sets. Oh, well, looks like all these are the numbers, right? So this gives you the opportunity to go through and not do letters, sorry, numbers, and be able to detect, okay, was it a 0, was it a 1, was it a 2, was it a 3, and just be able to have some kind of accuracy. So back to the example that we were talking about here. So in this one, we're going through and we're saying that, hey, 91% of the time we feel like we can predict whether it was a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So pretty cool. Like I said, you can get a whole lot closer. There's a lot of other code examples out there that'll get you closer to that 98, 99%. But that is like the hello world for big data, or I'm sorry, that's the hello world for like neural networks and deep learning and TensorFlow. So the MNest database there. So just being able to identify those. So just like I said, first time I was doing live stream, wanted to share some of the results and some of the things that I've been going through with my own 30 days. So like I said, I'm in day 13 right now. I think I might have said day 11, probably labeled this wrong too. But hey, like I said, my first example to kind of going through testing out YouTube Live, wanted to jump on and show some cool stuff that I found on GitHub to do your own 30-day challenge or 100-day challenge, or maybe it's forever day challenge. But make sure that you tune in if you have any questions or have any comments or anything that you'd like me to answer on or kind of go through on Big Data Big Questions. Put them in the comment section here below. I'll take care of them. And if I made any mistakes, which I made a ton today because this is live, go ahead and tell me all about them in the comment section below. So I love the feedback. So thanks again, and I'm going to sign off, but make sure you tune in next time.